Evening, fellas. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Good evening.
Excellent. Can't quite see you all because we've had these new, what are they?
Pop filters.
Popper stoppers.
Yeah, going to stop Lee's popping.
Added
hopefully.
over to the mic, yeah, which is excellent. It's an investment from our Patreon members, so thank you for that. We're hoping that...
We're trying to improve our sound quality, aren't we?
Yes, exactly. And we'll continue that method next year by probably getting more guests on to talk more than us or something. I don't really know, but yeah, excellent. So we're investing the money that you guys are kindly giving to us, so thank you very much for that.
Yes, thank you.
Ideal. So it's good and not bad times, but certainly sad today, isn't it, gents? Because it's the last one of the series.
It is. It's another series down.
Last one of the year.
Yeah.
Where did that year go?
Yeah. So what we're going to do this episode, while wrapping up series 2 and saying our thank you and goodbyes for Christmas, we'll be looking back on the year and giving a fairly honest review, won't we, of kind of where we've gone with the pod and also what it takes to do the pod, our kind of worries about it then and now, etc., what we're proud of, maybe what we're not. Depends how long we've got. But we kind of want to start with a new purchase that goes, well, it's a little bit better than a popper stopper. Isn't it? In fact, it probably pops quite a lot, doesn't it? Because Joe, you've been shopping today, have you not?
Yeah, quite literally. I got back about 20 minutes ago from West London, picked up a little 964.
Ooh. Excellent.
Yeah, so I've been obviously thinking about more modern stuff. You know.
Thinks about a 901 Tiger, buys a 964 Carrera.
Well, yeah, I suddenly realised I think I get more enjoyment out of a slightly older car.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all that stuff we keep talking about, you can't really use the newer stuff. And 964, I drove, very kindly drove a friend of ours, Ruby Stone 964, and I kind of, started having a bit of a look after that.
Yeah. Caught
my eye and, started looking around.
And that swayed you from a Boulevard Cruiser Targa into a hot rod 964.
Yeah, one extreme to the other.
What a salesman's dream. Absolute salesman's dream.
I'm the easiest person to sell to, literally. I shouldn't tell everyone that. Anyone can sell me anything.
If you put your window down in your 964, it's like a Targa, but on the side.
That's what the guy said to me. It does have a sunroof.
Yeah, does it?
Yeah, it's got a sunroof.
Nice. Yeah, he's pretty much a Targa.
That is a Targa, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah.
It's so small, you can put your head out the window.
So go on then, give us a run through the spec, because it's certainly not stock, is it?
No, so it's forest green. You probably know. What colour? It's not cream, but it's not white leather.
I don't know. Linen? Is it linen?
Oh, yeah, that might be a shout.
It could be. Called? So yeah, I need to find out. I can't remember. But yeah, so it looks almost white if you stuck your head in quickly. Forest green, and it's been played with quite a bit this year by the previous owner. Randomly, it's on air ride, which is not something I would normally go for, but it's a bit different. Have a play with that.
When I turned up tonight, I was like, "What is that down there?" Fucking hell! Excuse my French. It's a 964, absolutely on the floor, so low.
So that's its party trick. But I've only been in it a couple of hours driving it home, but so far quite impressed with the ride. It's I was told it's half decent, and it's good. So far so good. So I'll have to spend a bit more time in the seat to give you a better update.
Yeah.
So that's obviously it's rolling on some more modern Fuchs type styly wheels.
Nice.
18, so that's cool. New tyres all round. It's got slightly different back boxes on it. What else got on it? Bit of a stereo install thing going on, which is quite cool. It's got some hidden stuff going on in there. That's kind of the short version.
Yeah. What's the engine? Is that stock at 250?
Yeah, so it's 250 brake stock. It was rebuilt by a Porsche main dealer 2 years ago, and it's done just under 2,000 miles since. So it's almost fresh in terms of a rebuild.
Yeah,
awesome.
So that's pretty cool. It's got a massive history file, ginormous history. Wow. It looks to be a good thing. Hopefully, I mean, it's not sort of a showroom minter by any stretch.
Yeah, it's exactly what you want then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's really usable. Yeah, yes, there are some stain chips. There's bits and pieces on it that might need a bit of fettling, but it's a really good usable thing.
Nice.
So I'm excited.
Yeah, get a deal on it.
Yeah, I think so. I'm happy to disclose. I mean, it had been up for sale for probably a month or so at 55, which, yeah, I mean, what's a good straight together C2 now? You're probably into 40 something, aren't you? For C2s, they kind of seem to have gone that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was up for 55, and last week suddenly it had a price drop to 50, and yeah, picked up the phone, and it was I was told categorically, the price is the price. Don't even bother. Not a penny coming off it. Yeah, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Absolutely rock solid in stone. So it was kind of, that's the car. So I kind of took the view of, actually, if I picked up the phone at 55k and got 5k knocked off it, I'd be dead happy. The fact that they had already done that. So I kind of took the view on it, really. And I thought, well, if a C2 is 45 and this is 50, but it's got some stuff on it that I think would be fun to play with.
Yeah.
Happy days.
Quality.
So
Excellent.
I'll keep you updated.
Good purchase.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
We were saying a couple of days ago, away from the pod, that actually 964 is awesome, particularly at kind of money like that, because the stuff that's done to the car is reversible. Like, there's a bit of work with, like, obviously the air ride and stuff, but can be reversible. And I think this time, in say 2 years' time, 3 years' time, 5 years' time, 10 years' time, there will be less 964s on the planet than there are now, because some would have been crashed and some would have been reimagined by other companies and whatnot. So I think it's a cracking bit of business there, Joe. It has to be said.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, I think so far, I've spent a couple of hours driving it home. So yeah, give me a bit more time in the seat. But yeah, so far I'm dead chuffed.
Awesome.
Happy days.
Yeah. Oh, we can do a nice 964 v 993 test coming up here for
that'd be interesting.
Battle of the Modern
To see
Classics.
difference between
Yeah.
the
You
two.
could even slot in the 996. That's 3 generations back to back, isn't it?
Oh, wouldn't want to show you up, boys. Wouldn't want to show you up. Which car leaks the most? Oh, yeah.
We could have a green off.
Agreed off. Yeah, very good. Very good. What year is the 964?
It's a 1990
Okay, yeah, nice.
manual, obviously. So yeah, it's all good.
Wicked. Yeah, absolutely cracking bit of business, that, Joe. So, yeah, very, very nice way to finish the year. Did you buy that with all our Patreon?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Is that a squad car now?
It's actually a fleet vehicle. I didn't tell you.
Yeah, no, really good. Again, like, good mixture of like classic styling, but a little bit more of, like, I don't know, what's the word? Modernism, modernity. Particularly if you want to do like big cross country stuff or like across Europe, that's a car you can feasibly do it in. You know?
I mean, the difference from going from a 53-year-old car to a 30-year-old car is like worlds apart.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a huge difference already. Just a couple of hours on the motorway was like, super comfy. Don't have to think about it too much. Headlights aren't great, but they do. They half work. All those little niggles that you just you put up with even older cars. When you're talking about the 60s, things were a lot more primitive. They just
big time. Yeah, even you just look at gearbox alone, because 912's a 5-speed, 901 box. The 964 is a refreshed version of the G50, again 5-speed.
Yeah,
but bloody hell, the difference in them is absolutely night and day. It's a really nice shift on.
One's like a bowl of soup, and the other feels like quite a solid gearbox. So I think that's straight away I'm happy. So it's
awesome. Yeah.
Can't wait to get out in it, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice 6-cylinder noise rather than the old 4-pot.
Different already. It's just a different drive, different power delivery. It feels, initially I thought it feels quite lazy, but I think it's just that it's got that sort of low down torque, so you can be cruising and in 4th or 5th even, and just pop your foot down and it will happily budge you up there, as you probably in something else you might change down and use a bit more grunt. But I think the flip side of that is it livens up as soon as you get it up and going. So can't wait. But I'd be interested to report back on the air ride thing, because I know that was so Marmite for me. I already had in my mind that it might be pretty crap. So it was I was thinking probably that'll come straight off the car and put a set of coilovers on it.
Yeah.
Having asked around, a few people said actually you might be surprised it's kind of come on a bit, and the way they do it's different, and we'll see.
Worth
see
trialing as it's on there.
I think so. Yeah, run it and see what it's like.
Yeah, be interested to know on that. Like you say, there was a preconception, isn't there? That's not particularly positive on them, I suppose, as a driver's tool, isn't it?
It definitely splits the room. It's really Marmite. A lot of people wouldn't touch a car on air ride, and I might not have touched it. Had I not liked the rest of the car, I wouldn't have chased it because it had air ride by any means.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see.
Great anti-theft device, that, isn't it? If
Yeah.
you just park up and dump it, no one's having it, are they? So,
Yeah, you're not going to get that towed away, are you?
no,
Or
that's
wheel
it.
clamps.
That's what you want to declare to the insurance company. That's not a modification. That's a safety enhancement. That is. That's going nowhere. You need to catch them.
Need a high ab to steal it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, quality. Great stuff, that. Andy, what about you? Have you still been playing with your lift?
Finally got my new wheels on.
Excellent.
Yeah, I must take some pictures because they look. I'm pretty. In fact,
So, you did. You promised us last episode,
I
actually.
did. Yeah, I took the car out of the garage last night. A friend was using my lift to put some wheels on his Z4, and this guy walked past walking his dog, and he nearly did a Rudy on the driveway.
Really?
He was so
Yeah.
impressed with how it looked. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with how it looked too.
Awesome.
It's looking good.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see it.
Yeah, actually out on the road.
Have you driven on them yet, or have you just put
No.
them on and put them in the garage?
Yeah.
Just gone up and down the lift with them.
Well, literally, I've only just got them on this
So
week.
fingers crossed they should clear okay. And
Oh yeah, that'd be fine. Yeah,
Happy
because
days.
they're the same sort of offset and tyre fitment as I had with Matt's wheels.
Yeah.
got you.
Those Cup 2s, 18-inch Cup 2 replicas. So they're almost exactly the same. So they'd be fine. Yeah.
Nice.
Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, top stuff.
Yes, lots of
Well,
changes.
Have you done
got
anything to the 996?
I haven't. No, not for. I think it's not since the last update we gave on the pod.
Cleaned it, washed it recently?
I did actually. Yeah, I did wash it Sunday. But I mean,
well done.
No, I don't know what you guys think about cleaning cars, but for me, life's too short. It gives me the hump doing it, so I certainly don't want to dedicate pod times talking about it. But honestly, it does my absolute head in doing that. But yeah, that's pretty much all the action it's had lately. Really, been stuck indoors, haven't we, by and large? So.
You've had it de-rattled.
It is de-rattled, which actually, that is a great point.
So I had a ride back with you the other day,
Yeah.
and you said, "Listen to this," and that was what I heard. Nothing, and it was amazing because it was the rattle box from our 3-car lineup test, wasn't it?
Yes,
It
yeah,
was full of mice and all sorts.
definitely,
And,
yeah. Oh, I actually forgot about that. Yeah, so a few of us went out for a Sunday morning drive. Joe jumped in with me, and I said, "I'm going to prove to you right here, right now, that this car no longer rattles." So I have pretty much certification from Mr. Williams. So I just need to show you now, Andy, and it's a proper 1 of 1 996 now. It doesn't rattle for a couple of weeks. So that's about it really. So
I think that's probably the best improvement you can make to that car.
it really is, isn't it? It really is. Well, that's kind of where our respective Porsches are at for the end of the year, isn't it? Because it's the end of season 2.
Yeah.
Of the Road to Redline podcast, but it's also the end of the year, so we thought we'd take the time to just review where we're at and kind of just be honest, I suppose, with people listening at home about the podcast and our feelings on it.
39
really,
episodes done.
Wow.
Including this one.
Excellent.
Whew.
Excellent. It's awesome stuff, isn't it?
It's quite a journey, isn't it?
It is. It kind of started, which I don't actually think we've really spoken about this before, but it kind of started earlier this year, just kind of coming out of winter, wasn't it? Certainly before kind of COVID stuff kicked off.
Yeah.
And we realised as kind of local mates living down here on the coast that we've got a passion for Porsche, to coin the oft-quoted cliche. But we've also really into podcasts and quite fancy just giving it a go, wasn't it? And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, gents, but it's just a case of, look, we'll give it a go.
Yeah.
Have a bit of a laugh with it, and if anybody listened to it, it's a bit of a bonus. We weren't too serious about the whole thing, were
I think we had no expectation. We kind of set that from the beginning, didn't we? We weren't expecting to take over the world, or we weren't expecting, what were we up to? 33,000? 39?
Oh, sorry.
How many downloads?
Oh, I don't know.
I'll do the download check.
I'll
So 30-something thousand downloads, which is remarkable and still doesn't seem real. So yeah, it's definitely, it's far outweighed all of our expectations, I think.
Yeah. It's been a really nice way to connect with people, meet people that perhaps we wouldn't otherwise have done so. I think Porsche community is really good for uniting people anyway, but the podcast has certainly been a real extension of that.
I'm still amazed how far and wide it reaches. I think I said to you, we went off, did a track day at Cadwell, and there was some random guys with some Lotus Elises next to us, and this guy came up to me and said, "Oh yeah, you're Joe that does Road to Redline." Yeah. He said, I just sent a picture or came into my mate, and he said he listens to your podcast. Da, 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 da. And it's like, that's not even directly Porsche. That's through a mate with Lotuses. It's all sorts of random stuff like that.
Awesome.
Yeah. There was. You were getting mobbed at the Simply Porsche Bewley Day, weren't you?
There was at least 3 people come up to us.
But you bump into people all the time, and it's quite. You're surprised. I'm still surprised that people listen. So
33,953 downloads of all of our podcast episodes.
Awesome.
So
that's
far.
a lot of hours of people's lives wasted.
We are super grateful, aren't we? So, listening at home, even right now, you're contributing to that. And we are super, super grateful. Because as we said, when we came into it at the start of the year, we didn't have any expectations for the podcast. We just thought, we'll give it a go, chuck it out there and see how it goes.
It's been quite diverse, hasn't it?
Without doubt, yeah.
Content, guests, subject matter. I mean, it's an ever-changing thing, and that seems to be quite well received, I think.
Yeah. I think we definitely want to say, as we have always kind of done, we really welcome people's feedback because as we've gone on with the pod, we've realised, well, actually, it's we said from the start, actually, it's everybody's pod. It's not just our own. But we have said latterly that the more feedback we get, then the better kind of podcast we can do for people, isn't it? Because
I think the interaction helps. It's actually obviously it's nice to know people are listening, but it's also nice, if people have got input, whether that's questions, whether that's feedback, pictures, voice notes, whatever it might be. I think that really does help because it kind of shapes our content going forward.
Yeah. You may or may not know, listening at home, that Andy does the editing of it, basically. So
it's quite a mammoth job when you think 39 episodes.
Yeah. So
I have to listen to the bloody thing at least twice.
Commiserations to your wife, first of all. That's the kind of put up with all of that. But
I think she's been thanking us.
Keeps me out of the way.
But Andy was the man that was did the editing, because Joe and I, we'd discussed previously doing a podcast, and then we mentioned the same thing to Andy, and Andy was like, quality, well look, why don't we kind of give it a go? So that was kind of how Road to Redline formed. And Andy, cracking, and thank you for that, obviously.
I think we wouldn't be here, we wouldn't have the pod without Andy and his editing, because I think if we're very honest, I think we would have had loads of content and maybe eventually got round to looking at some of it at some point.
If probably chinned it off after a while. But so
it's quite a commitment, isn't it? So I think actually, when someone really dedicates themselves to making sure it goes out each week, that's the reason we're here. So thank you, Andy.
Tops, mate. Yeah, cheers for that. So how has it been? How much of a pain in the bum is it? And don't, obviously, we're in the room here, so be kind. But what is it? What does it entail when you have to edit a podcast?
You basically do have to listen to it at least a couple of times. So your first time is going through it, taking out anything that's lots of swearing and just bumbles from all of us. So taking all of those out. Sorry?
You can edit out this bit.
Yeah, probably, going through that, then going through it again, just checking it actually sounds like it all sounds all right. You haven't got any repeats and things like that. Then it goes through a post-processor, which corrects all the levels so that it's useful. It sounds good to the listener. It's at a volume level that the listener expects. So you don't have to adjust the volume in the car, that sort of thing. And then, uploading it, doing all the titles for the
it's so monotonous, even Andy's fallen to sleep.
It takes quite a bit of effort, really.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate it, mate.
Good.
So thank you for that. But
right, thank you.
I don't know about you guys, but people, not just automotive, but in the kind of all walks of life, when you say, I do a little, podcast and whatnot with a couple of gents, and a lot of people will say, I'd love to do a podcast. Give me some tips. How do you get a podcast going? And the one and only tip I give is just do it.
Go find Andy.
Go find Andy. But it's just do it and give it a go. And I don't know about you guys, when I search for other podcasts, I thought of one the other day of where are they now? So I typed into the old podcast thing, where are they now? And I think there were 3 that came up. One was some dude in America trying to find his high school 1985 group or something.
Yeah, that's a niche podcast, that is.
Yeah. I think he's looking for Andy. But he did, I don't know, 8 and then stopped. And then similarly, I think there's some Aussies that they were finding
I think that is the magic, either 7 or 8 podcasts is the magic number.
Break
you get
through
past
it,
that.
Yeah.
I remember us sort of reading at the beginning
that
as long as you got past that, then you're on your way, but a lot of podcasts fail.
Yeah, but it's difficult because, if you put a lot of effort into something and you don't see immediate traction, especially in this world we live in, it's all about instant gratification, isn't it? With, likes on Facebook or Instagram, whatever it is, it all kind of feeds into it. And so when you do something, a bit of peddling straight away and it doesn't quite get anywhere, you kind of feel let down, don't you, I suppose?
You're not getting much back, are you? And I like to think about the sort of the lifetime of the content. The pods we're putting out now, someone might come across our podcast in a year's time, 3 years' time, 5 years' time, and they've got this massive back catalogue of episodes they can go and listen to. That's all Porsche content that will still be relevant. Yeah, and that can be there forever, which is quite nice. So it can, we can build our little niche audience and take over the world, one Porsche, person at a time,
definitely,
and keep ticking them off. So I think it does, but like I said, it's a quantity event because you're trying to appeal to lots of different people, lots of different ways. So I think that's the way the diversity works in ours. You can kind of look through, even if you're not into some of our stuff, you can either skip those episodes or dip into them and skip past them if it's not for you, kind of thing.
And equally as well. And that's why we encourage everybody, if you want to do a podcast, generally get out there and do it. We'd love to listen. You can have as many podcasts as you want out there, isn't it? It's not like, say, magazines, which might be something to talk about season 3, by the way, but you're all competing for finite newsstand space, in Smith's or supermarket, whatever it is. Whereas podcasts, it's infinite space and infinite niches as well, actually. So if something you're passionate about, it's definitely worth doing.
There has to be said, though, there is a little podcast chart that we've done all right on.
Yes, I don't know where we are. I haven't looked recently, actually. Maybe I'll do that in the
obviously,
background.
It does go up and down a fair bit. What was our best rank in the end through the last few months? Can you remember?
No, I can't.
No idea, to be honest with you.
Do you know?
You've been telling everyone.
We hit. I'm sure we got sub 10 at one point. As in, we were in the top 10 of podcasts. We were in automotive,
right? Yeah,
which was really cracking. I think it's settled at around 15 or so. It does vary sort of week to week, month to month, and there's a million different categories and areas,
which is pretty good for how nichey we are.
I think so.
When you look at more regular, more content that's covering more like what's it called, DN.
Yeah.
Drivers Nation? No.
Drive Nation.
You got Smith and Sniff. They're all they're not nichey. They're kind of general, aren't they? And I think we've actually been above them now and again. So
we've been sitting next to some of what I would consider some of the real big name podcasts, which is it's quite cool when you see it on the chart list, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely give it a go. And to that end as well, by the way, shout out James at Auto Amateur. It's one of my favourite podcasts, has to be said, for automotive. And he's been on the podcast as well, I think series 1 or 2. I think it was series 1 now.
I follow his stuff on Instagram and stuff, and it's really, really cool.
Yeah, and again, just another example of how podcast kind of connects people and helps people tell their story and let that story resonate with others.
Yeah. 12 is where we've been.
12?
That's just in the last couple of months. Can't go back any further than
that'll do, being that there's how many thousands and thousands of podcasts out there at the moment.
So that's GB Automotive.
Wow, there you go.
That'd do, wouldn't it? We'll take that.
Yeah.
We'll definitely take that. So, did you guys have any trepidations prior to starting the pod?
I was shitting myself.
Were you actually? Yeah. Were you actually? Like, truthfully, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think there's that weird, I've never put myself in front of a mic or a camera, or particularly, I'm terrible at social media.
Speaker. Yeah.
I'm just not my world. So when someone's like, oh yeah, we're going to do a podcast and then we're going to put it out there to the world for a few people to listen to, and suddenly lots of thousands of people listen to it. It's a bit of a weird thing. It quickly passes. Now it seems quite natural to sit around a table and do this.
Yeah, you become more relaxed, don't you? Sort of forget about that and just...
Yeah, that bit just disappears. But at the beginning, before you start, you sort of, everyone's going to judge you, what your friend's going to think or what your mate's going to do, or, what about you guys?
What was interesting when first editing was how everything had to be perfect, and you learn that it doesn't need to be. And that sort of 80-90% there is more than enough to have a very presentable podcast. Because you can spend another 80% of the time fixing that 20%, and it's just not worth it. So get it done and get it out there.
Get it out there rather than make it perfect and never deliver.
Never deliver, yeah, absolutely. I think what we did do right as well, I think we recorded about 6 or 7 podcasts.
I think you forget we did. I mean, like, I definitely did a lot of sort of podcast research, and particularly into launch and stuff, way before we even sort of kicked off the podcast. And I think that was actually, it turned out to be, some time well spent. I think, things like having a bit of a back catalogue when you launch, I didn't really, you don't really think about it. You think we'll start a podcast, do the first episode, put it out there. Well, that's great. But if everybody listens to your first one, doesn't like it, or it's not for them, well, you've lost them forever. Yeah. But you put out half a dozen, give people a bit of choice, and they can kind of flick through your catalogue. And if they find something that resonates with them, they go, okay, I might see what else comes along.
Stick around, yeah.
And I think that worked really well for us. I think, the uptake at the beginning, it was kind of a lump of content people could binge on, and they could find something that worked for them. Yeah. So that definitely helped, I think.
Yeah, it was worth doing the good few. I think 5 or 6 or 7, something like that.
Yeah, it was 6 or 7. We launched with 7. I think comes to mind. So that was good. I think we've we're getting better with we still get our issues, but we're getting better with the technology and the kit. That's getting the sound quality better is obviously always on the list. And I think we're sort of investing in kit more so, and it's a lot easier. We're in the same room, isn't it? The setup, we know that works really well. I think where we suddenly had to go remote. Remember all the dramas of internet and mics and connections, and on Christ, we had people from all over the world that could log in, couldn't log in. Just hours of technical drama that nobody sees, that just never makes it onto the pod. I mean, that was all, that was ongoing, wasn't it? Week after week. But we sort of somehow got enough content to create a pod out of each one.
Yeah.
I'm just remembering one particular podcast where I think I don't know if I was actually there for that one, but you guys had maybe spoken to the guest for at least an hour and then realised that it wasn't recording.
I put my hands up. That's completely my fault as well. And I'll tell you what, the guest will never know, obviously. But it was a good, I think it's about 45 minutes we did. And then I sort of, it was a sort of remote type pod we did. And I was sort of frantically waving at Lee across the table going, I've not pressed the button. And we basically had to sort of, reverse engineer, going back around the same questions and
quite coy about it, weren't we? Yeah. Said, so if you just like to
revisit that again,
revisit it, and he or she pulled it out the back. We'll say it's a he because it doesn't really narrow it down too much. But we got away with that one, didn't we?
We got away with that. That was nearly a massive clanger, and we actually had quite a. Well, I thought it was quite a highbrow guest, obviously from head office Porsche GB, which we struggled 2 or 3 times. We had false starts with technology.
We actually recorded an entire episode, and then when we listened back, do you remember? It was just the audio quality was not good. Although actually, to be fair, it was Rob's end. I think he lives, well, I don't know, in the middle of a valley or something. But it was the audio didn't quite work, so we had to have the conversation of Rob. Would you mind doing it again? Maybe another day, start from the top.
It's amazing how guilty you feel asking somebody to do that, because they've already given up their time to come on the pod. They're already sort of doing their bit. When things don't work and you're suddenly pulling your hair out, it's that gets stressful very quickly when stuff isn't working and people are waiting around and
to be
time's
fair,
precious.
Rob did it and it was, I would argue, a better interview actually second time round. So credit to Rob for giving up his time, because I know his time is kind of more precious than most. But TGE we had troubles with again. That was one where we had like 2 or 3 attempts.
The irony, that's a fellow content media person that deals in this sort of tech day in day out, and we just couldn't make our stuff talk to each other. Crazy, but we got there in the end, which is the key thing. I think that's it. There's like technology anxiety. It's a real thing.
It's difficult. But we got there. We got some good stuff out, I think.
I think for me it was just the fact that by nature of the fact my job, I'm an editor of a magazine, right? So ultimately how that product looks in its final iteration, that is solely my responsibility.
You got a lot to answer for, you.
Well, sorry about that. But same like with the YouTube channel that I do, it's just me and I film it and edit it and whatnot. So again, I'm responsible for the final thing. So I have a lot of control about kind of what content goes out, actually, thinking about it. In the pod, that has completely taken away.
It is,
and I kind of, just thinking about it now, subconsciously, I think that was why I was quite nervous at the time, because obviously I knew you were editing it, Andy.
Yeah.
And I have absolutely no control. And there's been very little times really where there's been like an official request in to say, you know, please mate, hands and knees here. Can you chop it out? But, you know, otherwise it's been completely at kind of your mercy. So
Yeah, true.
I think we've been very open with the pod, haven't we? We've let it roll organically. We've not been candid in what we've put out and what we've cut out particularly. Yeah, the only edits we've made is legitimate bits and bobs that just
it's somebody
reasons
just
of flow,
muttering
it?
a load of rubbish for a while, or
exactly that.
Yeah.
So the rest of it is as it comes, isn't it? And
Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting, like if we swapped the editing job round, we might get 3 very different edits of the same pod as well.
I think we would, yeah. I mean, you know, there's people whose job it is, whether it's a television program or whatever, there are people's job to edit those things together, isn't it? You know, and it is a skill. So that's from my side. Cracking. With that in mind, shall we jump into these questions, because we have got 4 or 5, maybe a couple more questions for ourselves to answer.
Yeah.
To kind of surmise 2020 on Road to Redline, not only for us but also for our Patreon members. Actually, we've got some new Patreon members since last episode. Okay.
Should we quickly go through those?
Yeah, go for it.
I'll just go through them quick. Simon Walker, who's up in the northeast, drives a Cayman. Jez Murray, he's actually moving to Dorset. He's got a GT3.
Quality.
Mike Granberg, he is in Sweden and drives a 996, along with a couple of other interesting cars, an old Mercedes and a Saab 900. Bill Wells, he's in the UK. I don't know what you drive, Bill, so let us know. Brandon McCurley, in the US, he drives a 912. And Deb Whiting drives a Boxster, who's the partner of Paul.
We know, yeah. Awesome.
And there was another one as well, Andy Gregory, who drives a 944. He's based down near Worthing, I think.
Excellent. What a great mix of cars in there, by the way.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Great
awesome
variety. Welcome to the podcast. We appreciate your support, guys and girls. So, questions for 2020, looking back on the pod, we're going to start with our favourite episode. And as I say, the format of it is we'll answer them and then we'll kind of delve into our Patreon answers. And similarly, at home, if you're listening and you'd love to take part, we would equally love to hear your answers. Drop us your answers via direct message or however you choose to do so on social media. We'd really like to hear it. So, Andy, favourite episode from 2020, please?
Well, yeah, I've got a few sort of little ones, but they always seem to go around the same sort of thing, technical stuff.
Okay.
So suspension, I really enjoyed the suspension one. Tyres, Damon Jones, talking about Singer and what was his other company, Gunther Works.
Yeah.
So I found those really interesting, but probably my top one was Johnny from Classic Retrofit.
Yeah.
And mainly because of his hilarious stories when he was off, like showing people at Singer his stuff on a board and then going to roof, and they were just amazing, his stories. So yeah, Johnny for me.
Awesome insight. Yeah. What the other ones that you mentioned there, by the way, what's quite interesting is the stuff we've spoken about in the past. At face value, you might go, "Oh, it might be a boring one." And some listeners have admitted as such, but actually,
some of our
give it a
dry
chance.
topics have actually done really well, and it's amazing how many people have found those interesting.
Been really interesting, like the insurance one.
That's the one that sticks out for
similar,
me.
Tyres as well. Usually, complete yawn fest, but we've so much learned. How awesome to share it as well. So.
Feedback we've had on insurance and tyres has been amazing. I think. Yeah, that was 2 that I thought these might be a bit C-list pods, and they've not been at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cracking, Andy. What about you, then, Joe?
Without upsetting all of our guests that have obviously very kindly taken their time to come on our pod, my favourite episodes have actually been the ones where it's kind of the pub chat, the more the boys getting together, and it's kind of that organic Porsche chit chat. I think that's there. Those ones I think have been. It's amazing, obviously, getting these guests, having guests on and talking about their story and what they do and all the rest of it, and that's brilliant. But it's obviously very much about them, as I think when we get together, I think there's that kind of that underlying Porsche culture comes out between us, and I think that is quite unique. And I think those are actually made some amazing episodes for me. I mean, I just made a few notes here, and we had Phil over talking about his Dolomite, for a summer barbecue, not long ago. He then crashed a tie that I think we had one evening before and jumped in as well, that sort of thing. We had the group of 5 of us around the table the other week, which was, talking about 959 and, a road trip to Boxing. It was not Boxing Gas. It was the other one. What did we do?
Was it Stowe? What was it?
Stowe.
I can't remember. I just remember us making a barbecue on site.
Ren Sport Collective.
That's the one.
Collective. There we go. Yeah, chatting about that. We had Paul on and Chuck, and it's that kind of Saturday afternoon pub banter that I think is cool. I think we bounce well off each other, and it's I enjoy that off the pod. So to do it and record it, and for people to appreciate that, I think is great.
Quality. Absolutely awesome.
And you?
Resonates with me as well, that, Joe. I think my favourite episode was actually, it's a kind of not off topic, but a little bit off piste, I suppose, because it was when Phil came round and we had a barbecue before and then dived into the pod, and we talked about Phil's history, but also he's a clever guy, isn't he? And
was that Guilty Pleasures? Guilty Pleasures and a new... Yes, it was, yeah.
Guilty Pleasures, yeah, okay. But to be honest, it wasn't really, and this is why I say it's a little bit off-piste, it wasn't particularly for the topic. It was just the fact, I think that was the first one after lockdown, and it was just after kind of being pent up in your house for so long to then get together, like face-to-face, and kind of just, again, similarly, just indulge in cars and automotive, like people do at Cars and Coffee, at car shows.
I think you can, you can tell the difference on the pods, from where where we're at home and we're on Zoom or we're dialed in remotely, and when you're actually in the same room and you kind of vibe off each other in terms of what you're chatting about. I think you can tell straight away. It's like an instant thing. Yeah,
I think for me though, it's more just the fact that you don't feel like you're doing a podcast. So kind of maybe like the pressure of whatever it is taken off. You just feel like you're an automotive enthusiast having a chat with an automotive enthusiast, and I think they're the ones that I just really enjoy, for that reason. But then, equally, the guests that we've had on, particularly the ones where, which I suppose is next question, but the guests that we've covered topics where particularly at face value you wouldn't necessarily think they're any good or going to be of high value or interest. They've turned out to be the most kind of rewarding, I suppose. Yeah,
I'd like to think some of our guests, have now become friends with the pod, so to speak.
Yeah.
And maybe going forward, it'd be great to get them back on and have a chat with them. Get an update as sort of, as a friend of the pod, as opposed to sort of a full blown interview where we can kind of have a bit more car chat. That's less focused on their story.
Yeah, definitely. Interesting answers from patrons as well. I think the one that comes up quite a lot is actually the blue light blunders is like favourite episode. Can kind
seems to go down well.
Get why. Yeah. But again, shows a human side. Those sorts of conversations they had, again, at Cars and Coffees, down the pub, etc., quite a lot. And it's kind of, it is. It's that human element.
I think we're all real people. We've all been there, all done naughty things, and sometimes, sharing those is quite amusing.
Yeah.
Some of us have done more naughty things than others, Andy.
Not me. Not guilty, Your Honour.
Want to do question 2?
Yep.
Which is best guest.
Best guess.
Yeah, pointless asking Joe after his answer to question 1.
Let's get Joe's. What is Joe's best guess?
What do you mean best guess? What am I going to say?
Himself.
Give over. Obviously, other than the three of us. No, I genuinely, I made a couple of notes here, and I actually, complete cop out, I actually said all of them. And
that is such a cop out.
It is a complete cop out. But no, genuinely, I mean that. I mean, I just made a very short highlight list of, Renee's moving story, Rob's driving tips, Cars market insights, Scott's OPC behind the scenes, James's DIY in the US. I mean, the list is endless of kind of real standout guests that didn't just provide value, but actually, some really, really interesting content, and they were enjoyable. All of our guests have been great, but they've been really enjoyable chats for us as well.
Yeah, I think just thinking about what you've just said there is how varied all of our guests have been.
Definitely.
And each podcast sort of stands up on its own. It's not a series of the same thing each week. We've done lots of different.
We've got that sort of diversity that is not unheard of, obviously, but it's rare, isn't it? I mean, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and they can be very samey.
Same format, so they've got almost the same question they ask at the beginning. and the same questions that they ask at the end, and it's just like, yeah, it could be the same person each time.
Yeah.
So no, you got to pick one, Joe. Come on.
I'm not going to do it. Absolutely not. All of our guests are on my list.
A gold.
Yeah. So there you go. Big hug to all of them.
Yeah.
Come on then, Lee. Oh, all right. Yeah.
Andy first. I'm waiting for him to just one word answer or 2 word answer, one person answer.
Well, for me, I sort of resonate with Joe, but
the backtrack.
But
Stick it in reverse, Andy.
There is one that I thought was amazing. That was the lady that we had on a couple of weeks ago, Renee.
Yeah.
That story was just awesome, and I loved that my wife listened to that podcast and really enjoyed it.
Awesome.
And I think there's been lots of people that have said the same thing, that their whole family have listened to that.
My wife listened to it yesterday.
Did she?
Yeah.
Did she enjoy it?
Yeah, no, genuinely.
Yeah, really inspiring lady and great story. So that's my best guess.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Yeah, really inspirational, that one, wasn't it? Best guess for me, I have picked out 4 from the thing, but there is a theme behind every single one of them. I put down Johnny Hart, classic retrofit, Scott Gardner, the Porsche Centre technician, Gold Tech, Paul van der Loen, 80s and 90s.
Yeah, that was a great
stories,
episode.
and Kyle Fortune, the kind of secrets behind automotive journalism.
Yes.
The reason is
Forgot about
behind
Kyle,
all 4 of those is they were all super candid. I think people like, particularly Scott, actually, and I will say Scott, I absolutely hammered him for weeks about coming on this podcast. And if he didn't, he would have gone down as biggest disappointment, by the way. But he did. And the thing is with Scott, he works at a Porsche main dealer. He's workshop manager. He's got more to lose than gain by coming on the podcast.
There's a corporate line there that he technically should be sticking to. And
yeah, but he didn't.
Yeah, he talked very openly and honestly with us, and I think we appreciate that, and other people did too.
Definitely, yeah, and I think that is what we get most out of it, and I hope that's kind of what people feel kind of resonates at home. Similarly, with Paul van der Loen, some of the stories we heard from back in the day, he could have quite easily just kind of kept to himself, sort of thing. No one needs to know about them. It's a different world, etc., etc. So again, like, huge kudos that he's happy to tell those stories. Kyle, again, automotive journalist. I mean, even when we did the
you don't get to hear things like that, do you?
No, particularly like the blunders or the bloopers, whatever we did, I can't remember. And Kyle pitched in at a later date. You don't have to do that. As an automotive journalist, you have to be this kind of squeaky clean human being. Yeah. So I appreciate when people don't toe the line and actually they step over the line. Johnny, again, the same. Classic retrofit. He's got a commercial interest in kind of coming across whiter than white, as you say, but he didn't. He's quite happy to give that human story.
Yeah.
And I think those are the guests that I find most rewarding as a result.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
There's some funny ones from our patrons. I really liked the one that was said about Chuck. Where was it? Felipe Jeffrey. It has to be Chuck Richards. He sounds like my kind of guy and tells a good story. He certainly tells a good story.
He does.
He's just the storyteller extraordinaire.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. That will kind of segue on nicely to question 3, which is funniest moment. Who wants to go first?
I'll jump in. Come on.
Yeah, go on.
I mean, for me, it was our car swap.
Yeah, I'm there. Car swap as well.
I struggled to beat the car swap. I just laughed and laughed and laughed. It was
good effort on the editing there, Lee.
Obviously, if anyone hasn't seen the great YouTube video, what's the channel, Lee?
That 911 guy, if you aren't aware of it, with all the plugs that have been on this year. But yeah.
So go watch it again, because it's it was an absolute hoot, and enjoyed doing it. Enjoyed the pod, and just thought it was absolutely hilarious.
It was funny. It was a funny day, wasn't it? That. Andy, I'll jump in if you don't mind.
I'm done. Car swap with me as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, there are 2, and I picked like one funny moment each that involves you both. The one with you, Joe, and I am definitely blaming it on you, is when we were listening to we were interviewing the guest that will not be named. And we got 47 minutes in. And I remember because I think this was going happy as Larry, this chat. And then after 42 minutes, I noticed Joe had a bead on.
I think I lost all the colour in my face.
Yeah.
White.
And then obviously while we're kind of mid-conversation, the interview was taking place, what do you call it, over Zoom or remotely, whatever it was, kind of another clue. Yes, guess who here. But then there was the flap. I was trying to kind of work out why you were worrying, and then when you were pointing at like the recorder, and we'd seen it was just on like 000, and I was like, but we started at dead on the hour. It's nearly 10:02. Like, where has all of it gone? And we were just like, but yeah, we managed kind of mid-interview to kind of get those early questions back.
I don't know how we pulled that back either, but
no. Yeah, this it was an hour-long interview that took 2 hours, wasn't it? So, thank God our man was happy to chat there, but that was brilliant. The other one, and Andy, I think this is where we talk about you go over that line and you chuck your voice in front of a mic and have to kind of crack on with it. There was that fantastic story of you. I don't know if listeners know, but we'd been recording. We were here, weren't we? It got quite late at night. Well, fairly late. We'd not had dinner and I was absolutely starving. So I said, boys, I'm just going to have to pop down to the road to the chippy and get some chips. They were closing. So it was about 9:30. I've bombed down the road. And then as I was leaving, we were wrapping up or getting near to wrapping up. And you, Andy, said, didn't you, I'll record the intro. And this was back in the day when, as you said earlier on, Andy, we tried to record things really polished and whatnot.
Yeah.
I'd gone down the road, left Andy to record the intro, got the fish and chips, whatever, drove back. Good 10 minutes later, I walked in the door and I was like, are we done then? And Andy, you were doing the intro. And I was like, it's fucking absolutely brilliant.
I don't think you actually got there in the end.
No, but we've all been there. That is the point. That's the only bit that sticks out, was probably because I had to run off and get chips, but we have all been there. There have been so many kind of funnies and outtakes.
Yeah.
That one stands out, but yeah, that was quality.
I was just looking through the list here, and James Bullen said, was left wondering whether Carl had a bet with the Road to Redline team to see how many times he could get the phrase Mexican standoff in his autumn market update episode.
I remember that. And it wasn't a wind-up either.
No, that's just the way it goes. Some brilliant ones.
Oh, the... Doug Smith and his alphabetical spaghetti, if you remember that.
Oh, yeah, with the alphabet dating.
That was the one.
Savage. Question 4 was, what would you guys like to see more of in 2020? I'm going to rephrase that because we're not going back to the future.
Oh, yes.
What would you boys like to see more of in 2021 on Road to Redline?
Do you want me to go first again?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So again, a couple of notes. It's a long one, not a short one. Get used to it. So I put variety.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely want to keep
it
variety.
varied. Yeah.
I think that sort of diversity of guests and subjects, I think is really important. I think we need to keep mixing it up because I think some of our varied stuff is kind of what makes it interesting. I found it interesting. And I think I'd like to see some more sort of challenge style trips. So I think, a bit like where we did Car Swap.
Yeah.
I'd like to see if we can pull together, again, whether we drag in, some listeners, some Patreon members, some other local friends, whatever's going. But I think if we could come up with some sort of challengey kind of stuff, I think that could be quite cool.
Sounds good.
And last thing on there is I would like to see a pod Cars and Coffee, meetup.
Yep.
I think that is a must. We almost got there with our Sandbank Scramble that we had to cancel because of COVID. I think let's make that Sandbank Scramble happen.
Road to West Bay went well. That was
we did have
a
good
few cars.
Yeah, we had a little Road to West Bay.
Yeah, managed to squeak that in between
lockdowns.
And
that was actually that was really good. But I think it'd be great to do that. Do a supersized version of that.
Yeah.
On a sort of Cars and Coffee somewhere. So I think that's my plans for 21.
Cracking.
Cool.
I largely echo that, to be fair. Yeah, variety is a big thing for me. I don't want the pod to turn into just like monotony, really. I value it, again, just goes off the best guests. When we do have guests on, I really value people showing their human side, and particularly if they're attached to a company, I'm not too interested in in the corporate tag or toeing the corporate line. I want to get to know them as a person. I'm sure people listening at home do too. And to that end, we want to get more big hitters on the pod, but we also want to get the small hitters on as well. Because as we said when we started this pod, it's everybody's got a story to tell, and it's the beautiful responsibility of this pod is having a platform for everybody to tell their story. So
guys, should we also tag onto that our sort of big hitter 2021 wish list of guests?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Hi.
People who we would consider at the moment unobtainium.
Unobtainium?
Unobtainium.
Indeed. So I reckon people that, if we roll back to the beginning of the pod, people that we just wouldn't have approached, wouldn't have thought we could make contact with. So hopefully now we're going to hopefully use the power of the pod and just see whether through connecting through people, whether people can get us in contact with these guys to get them on the pod.
Yeah, so basically if you're not these people, if you're friends of these people, or to be honest, even if you're not, just hammer them on social media, basically, and get them to come on the pod, isn't it?
Any and all contacts welcome, I think. But it'd be great to. Let's just see who we can think of between ourselves that we just think, if we can get those on, there'd be amazing interviews. But also, we kind of feel a little bit out of our depth. But let's reach for the stars.
Yeah. Fake it till you make it. Go on, Joe. Who have you got?
I would love to hear from somebody at the original, from the original Porsche family. There's this massive, crazy worldwide legacy of the brand. I think it'd be great to speak to somebody from that is really the original old guard Porsche family, rather than the sort of the corporate front we see today. So I'd love to see that.
Hear some of the older stories of
like old stories. What the plan is now, what they how involved they are, how involved they're not, what they collect, what they don't, what they drive, what they don't, all that sort of stuff. So that I think would be amazing. I'd love to speak to somebody from Singer. I mean, I love their stuff. I think the Singer, obviously, they're definitely world leading what they do, in my opinion. And
agreed.
They can be. I think they're a little bit closed doors sometimes in terms of putting stuff out there to the world. I think it'd be great to sort of open the can on that and just find out a bit more about the brand, because I just think it's coolest stuff out there. Especially as it's 964 related.
It's going to have a 964 carted off to California. To be fair, DLS is in this country, Joe. So not bad. I have to get the old Patreons on that for you, mate.
Do that for next year. What about you, Andy? Any?
Well, there's a couple of people that's something that really got me in to actually buy my car was the Luftgehalt brand.
So what? Sorry,
the Luftgehalt brand. Yeah. So I went to the GB one at Bicester Heritage. And it really sort of sealed it for me that I needed to get my act into gear and actually buy this thing that I'd been dreaming of for so many years. So both Patrick Long and Jeff Swart obviously run that brand, and it'd be great to speak to them about not only the brand, but also Patrick's racing career. So I think they'd be really good guests that we could try and get.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And another one that I've thought of is Richard Tuthill. I think he's got some amazing stories to tell on what he does and the rallying, the ice driving. There's some real good quality stuff to be had from Richard, I think.
Yeah, big time. He's a bit of an unsung hero in the Porsche world, to be honest. His reputation expands far and wide, but he himself is quite a quiet guy.
I think it's quite understated almost as a brand, isn't it? They do a lot, turn out some amazing kit, and it seems to go a little bit under the radar.
I think they support a lot of other people as well.
It's almost people who know, but they don't really shout about it.
And you?
I would actually like to get, feeding off what Joe said about Singer, I would like to get Mr. Alois Roof on, because, I mean, we talk about legacy and whatnot. I don't think, in terms of a third-party company related to Porsche, bearing in mind they are a manufacturer in their own right anyway, I can't think of anybody at the pinnacle of their game or who would sit above Mr. Alois Roof and his fantastic business. So
I'd like to hear the other side of the stories from Johnny from Classic Retrofit.
Yes.
That'd be brilliant.
Waiting outside it. What does happen to his chauffeur while Alois Roof goes in everywhere and has these 4-hour meetings? Is he ever allowed to go to the toilet? So, I think that'd be fantastic. And again, I've seen Alois has done a lot of Instagram lives lately, so I'm sure chatting to us on Zoom would be too much of a stretch if you're listening, sir. The other one is AP, Andreas Preuninger. Now, a little bit personal for me, really, because Andreas, will I get in trouble saying this? I don't know. I'll go for it anyway. So Andreas Preuninger was considered, if you like, to edit our 200th issue of Total 911 magazine. I spoke to him earlier in the year via email about it. He was really up for it. And then it's come round to it at the end of 2020 now. And for whatever reason, it fell through. I'm slightly gutted by it. So, I'd love, therefore, AP, if somebody passes this to you or you're listening to yourself, considering that fell through, I'd love for you to get on here and maybe tell your story via another medium. Ooh. So, that'd be really cool for me, I think.
Nice.
That'd be amazing,
yeah. Overall highlights. Ooh. Overall highlights from Road to Redline in 2020, gents.
So this is a question just between us, isn't it? We didn't put this out to the world. Mine was our 10,000 downloads. It just seemed like such a massive milestone. I remember sort of, we almost counted down the last few downloads to the 10K, and it was just Christ, when 1,000 people had listened to the pod, I was amazed. When 10,000 people had done it, I mean, that felt like we'd arrived. I thought, if we stopped then and we did nothing else, I'd say that was a successful pod. Yeah. The fact we're now 3+ times that and growing is amazing, I think. So that 10,000 was kind of a real milestone for the pod, I think. Yeah.
Andy? It was talking to Mr. Walker.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. Again, sort of, old Magnus, he sort of ignited my fire in air-cooled stuff all those years ago when Urban Outlaw came out, and which I'm sure a lot of other people feel the same way. So actually to get to speak to him, it was pretty wicked. Actual physical things that the pods allowed us to do. So we obviously went to Ren Sport Collective, and our friend Paul asked us to drive some cars for him that he wanted up there. So to actually drive a 73 RS and a 997 40, pretty amazing experience.
Yeah, so ludicrous morning, really.
Yeah, so thank you to Paul for that. But I think the pod kind of has enabled that and the friendships that we've made through it. Yeah. They're my personal highlights of the last year, I guess.
Cracking, yeah. I think I feed off that. It's been really good to connect with people and to connect with new people. All to do with Porsche. It's crazy, isn't it? It's just a sports car that nobody needs to own, whether it's a 911, a Cayman, a Boxster, 912, whatever. But we've met some fantastic people on that online, via messages, in person at the Cars and Coffee road trips we've done, or just kind of out and about, to be honest with you. It's been really, really nice to connect with new people this year, particularly when meeting people has been tougher because of all the restrictions on our lives. It's been a real highlight for me. And then similarly as well, like doing it with you two boys. And it's what's different about this for me compared to other projects is it's doing a project with friends. Yeah. We're all just doing it off passion, and that's with no disrespect to like the magazine, for example. I love the job. It's a job.
Yeah.
And similarly with YouTube, that's kind of my own little thing. This is like, well, we're doing this because we're friends, but then also we're doing it because we enjoy Porsche. So it's nice to be along for the ride with you fellas, to be honest. Yeah. So
it's nice to do something without sort of an ulterior motive. I mean that in the nicest possible way, but it's not. Yeah, there's no. I don't know. Have any of us got a good reason why we keep doing this?
I mean, the tea's pretty good, Joe. I have to say.
The tea and the biscuit selection, I think, keeps us going.
Yeah.
No, I think it's just just
enjoyable,
that,
isn't it?
Yeah, it's enjoyable, and it's that passion for Porsche, which is pretty united. It's unusual, I think. That's what makes it special.
Yeah. That pretty much wraps up the pod for 2020. I do just want to say, I hope if you listen, we didn't find it kind of too backslappy. We just wanted to kind of really put across like our candid feelings and whatnot for the pod on how we felt in the run up to it, during, and then how we look back now after 1 year in. It's been absolutely hilarious to do, been great fun, really rewarding as well.
Yeah.
You guys sitting next to me, Joe and Andy, have played a key part of that.
Well, likewise, works both ways. Yeah.
I'd like to thank Lee for all the contacts that you've brought to the
Not
party.
running out, mate.
But yeah, you've enabled lots of those people
Opened
that
a lot
we've
of doors
spoken
there,
to.
definitely.
Yeah.
No, cracking. I think it's what
Yeah.
it's all about. It's great. It's great that people just want to come on and chat, isn't it? Ultimately. So, on that note, we will be back in the first week of Jan 2021.
Yeah.
We are dropping with 2 episodes, not at the same time, admittedly. So I'll rephrase that better. Our first 2 episodes of 2021 are huge. Because there is one which is outrageous. Our first episode, guaranteed, is outrageous. It will deliver news on a world exclusive something new will be dropping in on the day of our chat with said personal people, and we'll be bringing that to you as a podcast exclusive.
Exciting.
Very, very, very exciting. And then equally in week 2, we are also speaking to someone who is on this very podcast giving a world exclusive reveal of something that is huge interest to us, and I know it will be to people listening at home as well. So that should kick off 2021 quite nicely.
Pretty crazy, the first 2 episodes of 2021.
Very, very much so.
I don't know what we'll do for episode 3. But
Yeah, exactly. Back to faking it while we make it.
Yeah.
So
hopefully we're going to work through our wish list, aren't we?
Yeah,
Get in contact over Christmas and we'll line you up.
yeah.
I've just been looking at the stats, and strangely, downloads since published, right now, this moment, 33,959.
Oh, 959.
Yeah, how weird's that?
Yeah.
Bit freaky.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. No, it's been cracking. Thank you so much for being part of Road to Redline, listening at home this year.
Yeah,
we have
thank you.
really, really enjoyed your company, and we hope that you found the podcast to be good fun as well. See you next year. See you in 2021.
Anyone for a wee?